What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn Dogs Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, we had a spectacular major. I mean, it was great. Everything you could have wanted to see. Xander Schauffele. He's got two this year. Overall, what'd you think of the week? Any highlights, any lowlights? You know the deal.
USA, baby. Four majors, all in the States. We're going to win the President's Cup. We're going to win the Olympic gold. Everything is staying in the USA, baby. So I had to rep my little Titleist hat, little subtle plug. Xander Schauffele, is it safe to say that was the most dominant final round that we've seen all year?
I mean, yeah. I also think that there was a good amount of golfers that gave it away. I mean, like Sam Burns, I think was on T2 at one point. He finished T31. Rahm never really pushed up the leaderboard. Scotty never really pushed up the leaderboard. Everybody else just kind of was just like, yeah, cool, let Xander win another. Like, I don't want to contend for this major.
Okay, that's the most casual take I've ever seen in golf, because Xander shot a 65.
I know.
Justin Rose shot 67. Horschel and Lawrence shot 68 alongside Rahm and Lowry. So there were guys pushing. So I don't know about that take.
Yeah, but the fact that Xander just didn't care and continued to go out and crush it never felt at a point where I was like, Xander looks like he's struggling. I don't think he's going to do well and finish off the win. Like with like 3 or 4 holes left, I think once Xander got into the house, I sat there and I was like, there's nobody within 3 shots of him. Like, everybody else needs to eagle in to get into a playoff kind of deal. So it's interesting that is the way the tournament ended. Now, admittedly, this was a tough week for me. I did not get to watch a ton of golf. I was at a bachelor party. So I didn't actually see the last 3 holes from all the other golfers. Once Xander was in the lead and I saw that in the clubhouse, I had to turn off golf and like go do bachelor stuff. So I didn't see it. But I also didn't see anybody going eagle finish on a par 3, par 4 to ever really stand a chance with them.
Yeah, because that was an easy course.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm like, you're like, that's a bad take, and I'm like, no,
it is a bad take.
No, Xander was 9 under. Nobody else was within 4 shots when they had like 3 holes left.
Rose was at 7. Horschel was at 7.
They finished at 7 after they birdie finished for like both of them. I'm just saying they both birdie finished.
From someone that watched 90% of that golf tournament to someone that watched 2%.
30%. Cool. Give me a little more credit. I'm sorry. I had other priorities. I still watched golf. It was bachelor party.
I don't care if it's your brother. Shout out Ryan. I don't care.
To be fair, since the golf was on so early in the day, it did actually make for a better viewing experience. I could afford to watch like 2 hours in the morning while I was hungover off my ass. Just watch golf while I made breakfast for 12 people.
Shout out Ryan. He knows
so it made sense. All right. Beyond that, Xander's won twice this year. Is he probably 2 in the world?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Some people might fight Rory on that, so that's why I was like, let me run that by you as far as Xander versus Rory. So
how would you say that Rory has had a better season because he won the Zurich?
Well, I'm just saying,
Lowry, no.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't think it's Rory. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate there. But yeah, all right. I think we're in the same process there. Xander's good. Other highlights, guys that stood out to you. I mean, Thurston Lawrence. You had Brown, who was a Monday qualifier. You had obviously Rose. You had Billy Horschel.
No, not Billy Horschel. Take him out of that. I will not give Billy Horschel shine.
Well, all right, that's fine. I just want to, there was guys that I don't think any of us really anticipated being at the top of the leaderboards at the Open.
We had an entire work group chat Sunday morning saying anybody but Billy Horschel could win and we'd be happy.
That's a lot of slander on Billy Horschel personally. Like, I don't think he's that bad of a guy, but
but
just not exciting.
Yeah, if you knew. Shubhankar Sharma was awesome. He was a guy I was rooting for pretty much more than anybody in the entire tournament, which was awesome. Cool to see guys like Padraig Harrington finish so high. He's one of my favorite players, one of my mom's favorite players of all time. Spieth going up there and playing really well, all things considered. There were guys up there that were really, really cool to watch. A lot of people that were interesting to see fall off. Bryson DeChambeau,
I have a whole list.
Yeah, I mean, I can go through. It's like just crazy. Fleetwood, Obear.
Yep. Yeah. Akshay
Hovland.
Bhatia, Krishnan Swedenhoot, Keegan Bradley, Will Zalatoris, Terrell Hatton,
not
Minwoo
Keegan or
Lee.
Will.
What?
Not Keegan or Will.
Depending on who you ask.
That's
Minwoo
the guy that
Lee.
put 5 units on him to miss the cut.
All right. Well, Minwoo Lee, Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig Obear, Bryson DeChambeau, Tony Finau, Victor Hovland, Tom Kim, Rory McIlroy, Cam Smith, Wyndham Clark, Jack's future baby daddy. I mean, just all.
Austin Eckroat?
No, Tiger.
Oh.
Or should I say current? I mean, it's depending on how you want to word it. So no, all guys that are were relatively big names. Some of them bigger than others. You know, obviously Rory's more known than Keegan, but I think everybody can agree that they will know most, if not all, those names. All guys that missed the cut. So again, I said
Terrell
last
Hatton.
week. Yeah, I commented Hatton. Yeah. I mean, Hatton could have had, I think, shot his D- gameplay, and he still beat half a dozen of the guys that I expected him to. But some of the low price guys that I was all over specifically last week that actually did quite well. Matteo Manacero finished T31, so we love that. He was quite cheap. Tom McKibben, who Jack and I were both pretty high on, didn't play spectacular, but he made the cut and finished T66, which you'll take in that instance. Normally, he would not count towards a low-price player, but he was super cheap last week. Sungjae Im was T7, so I'm going to count him towards that. And then last
Finally
guy,
did well on a big event.
I know. He'd been doing so well on all the smaller fields, but he had been struggling in the majors. So I figured he was going to turn it around last week. And then last name, John Catlin, T16, baby. Solid from your boy. So that was a nice one. My only big miss as far as low-price golfers, Louis Oosthuizen. Just didn't play well. I'll take 4 for 5. I mean, if I'm going 4 for 5 on guys below $7,500 on DK, it's a good problem to have. So, all right.
Also, last thing before we jump into it, somebody shot a frickin' 91.
Yeah, that's tough.
I have a huge ego about golf. I already know it. I'd like to think I would have shot better than 91. I'm just saying.
Windy conditions, tough game, tough track, the whole deal. But yeah, 91 is brutal. He shot it on Saturday too, right?
Friday.
Oh, Friday? Okay, all right. I'm mixing up my days.
He went like 72-91. That was the worst part. Like, he was well on the cut line.
I mean, did he have like a 15 on one hole? Is that why he shot 91?
I think he had 3 9s.
Oof,
Reminds me of your golf game.
Yeah, that a little painful.
He went like 9-9 birdie par 9 birdie. It was like, dude, that's your golf game right there.
Part of me wants to say F you, and part of me says, yeah, you're right. So
PBFU.
Yeah. So, all right. With that, let's get into DraftKings lineups. Jack, how'd you do last week?
Good on some guys and terrible on others. What was really nice about me saying there were guys that were terrible, 98% of other lineups were going through the exact same issue, so it worked out. So I had Xander, I had Tom McKibben, Aaron Rai, and Shubankar Shamrai, which Aaron Rai, 15. Oh, what the heck happened at the end there? He was in such a good spot. Anyway, won money. I'm just going to jump into FanDuel because I'm so excited to talk about the next category. I mean, I had Xander, Corey Connors, Ryan Olson, who made the cut. I went double ups, single entries. I barely scratched money. So 4 for 4 all across the board. I'm taking money each and every day. Just hurry up so I can talk about my bets.
Yeah, DraftKings, I didn't do that great in there. I think I maybe was like the last guy to win money in 50-50s. I didn't win money on single entries, which is fine. Rory miscut, Tony Finau miscut, Oosthuizen miscut, and then I had Morikawa and Catlin both finished T16. Aaron Rai finished T75. Again, that was brutal, but there were plenty of other people that also had brutal lineups. FanDuel, I had Rory who miscut, Xander winner, Colin Morikawa T16, Aaron Rai T75, Victor Perez miscut, Matteo Manacero T31. So I won money, I think, in both single entries and double ups there. Just because Victor Perez.
8 for 8?
What?
You make money 4 for 4 too?
No, I didn't win money on single entries in DK.
Got it.
Yeah, only double ups. But yeah, Victor Perez, I think, missed the cut on the number and actually had a pretty good number, all things considered. So that made FanDuel really nice. So, all right, get to your 75 bets, kid. Go
Listen,
quick. We don't
ladies
got
and
20
gentlemen,
years.
I'm not going to read through them, but if you tagged along and if you follow us on TikTok, you would have saw I posted a hell of a lot more bets. I'm just going to throw this out there. We went up 24.98 units last week. That is not a lie. That is not an understatement. 24.98 units, bringing us to a total on the year of 73.56 units up on golf betting. I'm not going to read through the bets, but I just want to say this one more time. 73.56 units up on golf betting. If there is a golf podcaster that you know of that is doing better on bets than this, find them. Let me know.
I'll say this. I'll highlight one of them. He had I can't say the guy's name.
Sharma, top 40.
Yeah, Sharma,
500.
top 40 was plus 500. So like those are the types of bets that he hit last week. He was Jack is
20.
Yeah, I mean that was yeah. If you'd have done that, I would have thought you were smoking something prior to putting that bet in. So I was surprised to see top 40 there. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, I had Will Zalatoris missing the cut, CT Pan missing the cut, Keegan Bradley missing the cut, Cam Young making the cut. I put way too much money on that. But who cares? I mean, all I'm going to say is if we had shifted the leaderboard like one placement, I'd be up like another 23 units. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even think about it. But I rest my case as the greatest golf bettor of all time. But that's okay.
Yeah, I had 6 bets last week. I had Ryan Fox, the top New Zealander, over Kazuma Kabori, Daniel Hillier, and Michael Hendry. Turns out Daniel Hillier wanted to go out and I think finish T20. Shit, good for the kid. I mean, impressive. Whatever. It's going to happen. For whatever reason, the guy who's actually on PGA Tour didn't want to play golf that day. I had Matteo Manacero over Guido Migliozzi and Francesco Molinari. Guido and Matteo ended up tying at like +6. So that was voided. I had Max Homa over Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark, I think, was third to last in the field. That was +120. That
wasn't pretty, but it was a win.
Oh, yeah, it's a win. We'll take it. I had Davis Thompson over Sam Burns. I marked that as a loss come Saturday morning. I think they ended up being like 2 or 3 strokes apart at the end of the day because Sam Burns decided to shoot, I think, 77 on Sunday. So that was crazy. I had Colin Morikawa top 20 at -130. That was a win. And I had the free bet of all free bets, Tyrrell Hatton over Victor Hovland. Tyrrell Hatton quite literally played some of the worst golf I've seen him play in 3 months and still beat Victor Hovland by 2 shots. So I talked about wanting to put 10 units on it last week, not being able to because of the fact that I didn't have 10 units to put on. I sure hope you guys did. With that, though, with the voided bet, I went 3 for 5. I am plus 0.88 units, and I'm currently 8.12 units up on the year. Hey, I'm up 8 units. I mean, I got no problem.
No, I'm not the statement of I wanted to put 10 units on it. I didn't have 10 units to put on it.
Hey, I am basing everything off of the bets on there. I was like 7 units up. I didn't have 10 units to throw on it. I could have thrown the additional 7 units, but I thought, let's not get stupid here. Let's just take the win. So,
bet what you can afford to lose, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. All right. With that, we go into wildcard picks, and then we'll end on winners.
Of course. I had Jordan Spieth top 20 at +230. He finished at 25th. He had a really good chance at it. Listen, I know 25th sounds A, really good and A, really bad in the grand scheme of Jordan Spieth. That was, in my opinion, the most consistent Jordan Spieth we've seen all year. And I know you didn't see a whole lot of the coverage, just being occupied with the bachelor party, but he looked very strong in a sense that Jordan Spieth is known for making sevens now. Like those sixes, those sevens, those doubles and triples come out of nowhere. Yep. On a course like this, where he was able to minimize that, yeah, it's going to happen eventually for most of these guys. He looked really, really good, and it's honestly very promising to me. And I'm a golf degenerate. I was watching his range session. He has probably gained 3 to 5 miles an hour on the iron speed. It was ridiculous, and he was puring everything. So it's like a mental note for me going forward. Whatever event he plays next, at Olympics, I don't know what he's going to play next. Might be something to watch out for a top 40 because he looked really good.
Yeah, no, that's That's fair. I mean, again, I want to see a little bit more consistency from
Of
Spieth,
course.
and then I'll hop on. But it's great to see that he didn't,
Go
finish.
watch after we get done with this. Watch his round highlights. He looked really good.
Okay. All right. For my wild card pick, I went a little off the rails. I had Morikawa, Tony Finau, and Aaron Rai top 20 at plus 1131. That was a loss. Morikawa hit it. Finau miscut. Aaron Rai like T75. So wasn't really ever close. And then winners, I'll get mine out of the way really quick. Pre-year, Shane Lowry, 6th place. And then I took John Rahm, who finished 7th, which I'm ecstatic on. And then Thorbjorn Olesen, who finished T43. So, again, 3 guys to make the cut there.
Yeah. And Liam, do you want to just go ahead and read off mine really quick? I'm trying to do something on the back end.
Yeah, Jack said, F it, give me Rory, who missed cut. He had Cam Young, who finished, like T30-ish?
I think it was like T39 or something like that.
Yeah, 39. And then he had some guy named Xander Schauffele. So, so no, Jack hit another winner this week. Just to give you guys some highlights, maybe on the last 8 weeks of the Turn Dog Golf podcast, we've hit 4 winners. Jack hit Scotty Memorial, Davis Thompson at John Deere, and Xander at the Open. And then I hit Robert MacIntyre at the Genesis. Outside of that, when we haven't hit winners, we've got 4 runner-ups, a T3, a T5, and a T6 and 7 in those finishes as well.
And in terms of betting, how have we done in that stretch?
Yeah, so since the Memorial, which again was about 8 weeks ago, Jack is up 39.8 units, and Liam is up 12.1 units. So
just gonna throw it out there again. You let me know if there's another golf podcast in the world that's making you guys this much money, and then come back to me, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we're kind of crushing it. This is what you would refer to as a heater of all heaters when we talk about golfing standards. So hop on the bandwagon while we're making everybody a crap ton of money.
Heck yeah.
All right. With that, we swapping over to the 3M Open, Jack. I know. Next major.
I don't want to.
In what, 9 months, whatever it is?
Yeah. Well, yeah. President's Cup's here. It's another major for me.
We also have the Olympics in like 2 weeks, which is I know. I'm trying to mentally think ahead of it and like save face where I'm like,
another 3 a.m. tournament in Paris.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to. So, all right, we are going to the 3M Open. This is a par 71 totaling 7,430 yards. Last year's winner, I have Tony Finau. Is that right, or did he win 2 years ago?
He won 2 years, because Lee Hodges won it last year, right?
Lee Hodges won it? Okay, I must not have. I think I was gonna say, I was like, I have Tony, but I listed that from 2 years ago, so that's right. Lee Hodges was last year's winner. Sorry.
Let me double check because now I'm tripping.
I know. I put Tony. I think that's wrong.
Hodges. Boom.
Lee Hodges. Okay, thank you. But we are up in Blaine, Minnesota this week, back on what I would consider the quote unquote standard PGA golf course. We're done with the link style courses for a little bit here. This is the 6th year of the 3M Open event up in Minneapolis, so we do have a little bit of data to go through. You can look at that as far as golfers go. This course is listed at 7,430 yards, and although it is quote-unquote longer, there's really not a reward for long driving distance on this course. There's actually more of a reward for driving accuracy than anything else. More guys generally play well from the short grass than they do getting the extra 20 to 30 yards. Which, again, you could take into account. It will not totally dissuade long hitters from doing well here, like the Keith Mitchells of the world, because he's just one that stands out to me because he's kind of high up and he hits the ball pretty far. He will likely do fine. But just keep that in mind that distance does not mean everything here, even though it's a longer course. Around the green play will also be slightly important this week. But again, this course in general doesn't have anything where it's like, you need to be crazy good at this specific stat in order to win here. It's just kind of a run-of-the-mill PGA Tour event that's going to end somewhere in the realm of probably 25 to 30 under par.
What, that high?
I think so. I think it could.
I was going to say 18 to 22, but dang.
I maybe that's a safer number. I'm probably a little aggressive looking at the higher end of it. But I would say maybe 20 to 28.
Dang.
So, All right. With that, there's again not a ton of data otherwise on this course, so let's run right into DraftKings lineups. There are three guys listed in the $10,000 range on DraftKings: Tony Finau 10,500, Thigala 10,300, Sam Burns 10,000.
Pick Tony Finau and ignore the other two. That's all I'm going to say. Tony Finau has been the staple of this event in 5 years, an average placement of 12.4, including one win, third place, seventh, and then two other top 30s. He's hit this in 6 of his last 8 have been just monstrous events. He's plus strokes in every single category, all across the board here at the 3M in Twin Cities. Scott, I think Sahith has missed a cut almost every single time here, if I remember.
Yeah, Sahith Thigala has never made the cut here at the TPC Twin Cities. He's 0 for 3.
That's what I thought.
So his putter has killed him at each time he's played here, losing at least 2 strokes putting every time. He also did just struggle mightily at the Open, losing in every single strokes gained metric. Again, I know it's not the same course, but a thing to also keep in mind this week that is not really golf related, but it's going to affect a lot of the golfers. The guys that played over in the Open, over in Scotland, everybody on the planet right now is dealing with flight challenges. All right. Flights are not taking off. Flights are delayed, all because of kind of like the Microsoft outage. Bear in mind that guys will probably not get to the course as early as they usually would. I'm sure they will run into flight delays and not get there until this evening, tomorrow. It's gonna private. Unless they're flying private, which I know, like I think Finau did. But like I know Thigala did not, because his girlfriend always posts on TikTok all of their flight updates. And she was complaining about how Delta screwed him over. So bear in mind that like guys are going to struggle flying in. Sahith Thigala might be one of those casualties. I don't think he'll get as much work. It's concerning for the week. Sam Burns, say hello to the most confusing golfer on the PGA Tour, Mr. Sam Burns. He's played this event twice, finishing T32 and T7. Both were over like 4 years ago. Like that was like 4 and 5 years ago, respectively.
19, yeah.
He's played awful. He played awful after being in contention to win on the Open on Sunday. And I'm going to avoid him on the pure fact that his iron game is about as inconsistent as it gets. So the putter's not much more help either. So I'm avoiding Sam Burns. I'm avoiding Thigala. I'll go Finau as well. If you want me to rank them, give me Finau 1, Burns 2, Thigala 3.
I would have said the exact same thing, buddy.
Sweet. All right, into the 9K range we go, where I think Akshay Bhatia is a tank at 9,800, all the way down to Keegan Bradley. Tell me why you like Bhatia over Burns and Thigala this week.
Well, I'll tell you right now. His only miss in like the last 6 weeks of golf has been at the Open, which could not physically be farther away from this event. He's 10th in strokes gained total all across the board and 14th in scoring average all across the board on the PGA Tour season this year. An event that I think is going to go between 18 and 22, and you think is going to go at 20 to 27 or 28 under. Yeah. That is a guy that you need. In terms of everything that he brings, the scoring that he brings, and kind of just all-encompassing. Plus, he got there early. If you watch and you follow him, and if you've been following some Whistle Sports, not a bandwagon, you know that he's a baller and he's going to go out and showcase. I refuse to vote for Billy Horschel because he had the worst fashion I've ever seen after winning an event where he had a see-through bath towel as a winner. And then I do like Luke Clanton, even though his price is atrocious.
Yeah.
ISCO, that's what it is. I couldn't remember what it is. I watched his round highlights from there, and he's just an absolute stick. Granted, normally I wouldn't go for him at this price, and normally I wouldn't go for him in any sort of PGA Tour event yet. But what he's shown in the Rocket Mortgage and John Deere, which are two really good scoring events, and the fact that like he's like the 7th priced guy, tells me everything you need to know about this field. I'm willing to take that gamble, even though he's probably going to be higher round.
Yeah. There you go. I'll quickly talk on Akshay too. I'm actually a big fan of his. He lost 4.5 strokes on approach at the Open. That's the first time he's lost strokes on approach in 6 starts. I don't see that happening again. Again, it was a major, super windy conditions. You're likely not getting that again here. I'm willing to forgive and forget, just based on how he's played. Then you have Keith Mitchell, who has great history here with back-to-back top 5 finishes. His recent form has left something to kind of be desired. He's missed back-to-back cuts. But if there's kind of anywhere for Cashmere Keith to find its game, it's going to be in this type of field. I don't anticipate him losing off of approach like he did last week. Similar to Akshay, this was the first time he lost on approach in over 12 tournaments. So if you're telling me that like on a sporadic week he's losing on approach and therefore he misses the cut, he's probably not missing approach again, and he's probably therefore going to make the cut this time. So that's always nice. Luke Clanton, you talked about it, unknown to basically 4 straight top 40 finishes. Well, I'm going to say unknown for like the casuals. If you follow golf deep enough, I know you know Luke Clanton, but I'm talking
Technically, he finished 41st at the U.S. Open.
All right, sorry. Unknown to 4 straight top 41 finishes. Thank you. His around the green play has been struggling in those finishes. It is probably the weakest part of his game. That is something to keep in mind at this event where, again, around the green play will be slightly important. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to play him. He's been playing way too good not to. I'm just saying if you're looking for a reason to potentially fade him because you're worried about it price point-wise, you're reliant on basically the around the green play hurting him this week. So that's fun. JT Poston, outside of Tony Finau, has some of the best course history in the field. He has finishes of T2, T11, and T28 here. For whatever reason, he seems to love putting at this type of course, and he's gained 14 strokes putting over his 3 starts here. Again, JT Poston is another guy who has not necessarily been playing well as far as recent form. But if there's any spot for him to play well, much like Kashmir Keith, I expect it to be here.
I'm here for it.
Cool. All right. With that, we're going to dig into the 8K range. We're starting with Cam Davis at 8,900 all the way down to Rosie withdrew. When did he withdraw? Just this afternoon?
That's a shame. I can't blame him, but.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right. The only guy I genuinely feel comfortable getting to is Lee Hodges. Yes, I know he won last year, and I'm not as big of a course history buff outside of some courses to Liam, but in 2 starts here is an average finish of 8.5 with a 1 and a 16. He has an average, let me just say this one more time, an average of strokes gained total in each of his rounds of plus 3.26. That is ridiculous. He's also dominated in 6 of his last 8 PGA Tour starts. He's really consistent across all the measures of the game. And I think at this price, if you're going to be 8,200 at a guy that's made a lot of cuts pretty consistently, in some events that just haven't really suited him, but he's made the cut in a fair bit recently, I'm all for it. That's
fair. I know you said you don't like a ton of guys outside of Lee Hodges. There's a few guys in this range I actually kind of like. Eric Van Reen, aka EVR, is one of the guys. He is a Minnesota Golden Gopher, did go to college up here. Prior to missing the cut of the U.S. Open, EVR hadn't missed the Saturday since the beginning of April at Valero. So he's been playing basically pretty consistent at that point. I'm quite comfortable with him. He's got a good iron game, so I think EVR could be dangerous in this weaker field. You also have Cam Davis, who is currently in form. This is a guy who constantly sits there and has 4-week stretches of just spectacular golf and then 4 months of obscurity. I mean, could you agree with me on that Cam Davis take? Because every 3 to 6 months he figures out how to hit a golf ball again and groups together a couple tournaments in a row. He did have a win and a T26 in his last 2 starts, and he's gaining on everything but the putter right now. He's an interesting option. I think he's a little high priced, but he's definitely a good option to get to if you want to go different from what everybody else is going to go to. Tom Hoagie's kind of boring. He just plays out of fairways, hits iron well, and the putter can heat up, even though he's lost it in 4 of his last 6 starts. He's an interesting play. I wouldn't go to him personally, but I get it because it's Hollywood Hoagie and it's a weak field. Nick Dunlap, congrats on his win last week at Barracuda. I know. He won at Barracuda. It's not the same because of the Open with the asterisks, the whole deal. But when you look at it, his game is much better than it was at the start of the year. He clearly wasn't ready to go pro. He had some tough growing pains because of it, but he seemed to kind of turn the corner. And I think this is a spot he has potential to do well on. When you look at his metrics, they actually rate out half decent for this course. Now, do they rate out half decent for a lot of people? Yes. But I do think that Nick Dunlap could be an interesting play this week. Maverick McNeely, he's begun to kind of hit a slump. He has gone on a streak of 4 straight weeks losing on approach. I think if he was playing how he normally play, he'd be a top 5 player in the field potentially, maybe top 10 if you're way too aggressive, if you think top 5 is too aggressive. But his form has basically been too bad to make him playable this week. As far
My
as the
concern
approach.
about EVR is he doesn't have a great stretch here.
I get it. At a certain point though, Eric Van Regen is too good of a golfer to consistently play bad.
Got it.
In my mind, I agree. But you're also the guy who, by the way, just said course history isn't everything. But I agree. I think if you look at the course history, Eric Van Reen doesn't look great. But when you look at how he plays throughout the course of the year, it feels like Eric Van Reen can make a top 40 here. Like Eric Van Reen,
he should make a top 40.
He should. He has capability. Yeah. It is not a strong field. I could see it easily, in all honesty, this week. So, I don't hate Lee Hodges either, but I just, he's just kind of there for me. All right, 7K range we go. Ben Griffin
pretty good range, by the way.
Oh, I agree. Ben Griffin 7,900 all the way down to. Oh my God, there's a lot of Cam Champ at 7,000.
Former winner here.
It's disgusting. Ooh, Daniel Berger's son. All right, sorry, I got distracted. Go for it.
I was just saying Cameron Champ, former winner here, but star of the show for me here is Sam Stevens, which is a name that I haven't said in a long time. Finished 10th here last year. He's dominated in 8 of his last 11 starts. He's 17th in scoring average in the 2024 season and 43rd in strokes gained total all across the board in the PGA Tour season. I got lazy and I didn't adjust that to this entire this lineup field, whatever the heck it's called. So his stats are even better in comparison to this. He's got 3 top 10s in the year. 2 of them, granted, were on Korn Ferry. 1 was on the PGA Tour, but this guy's still on fire and scoring really well. I like him this week a ton. Really do.
If you look at Sam Stevens on courses over 7,400 yards, I think he has like 8 top 20s in his last 15 starts on those types of courses, which you might sit there and be like, well, that's not that impressive. But like, it's an over 400 yard course in a weak field, and the guy's under 8K. Like, if he finishes top 40 this week and he's 7,800 for you, you're ecstatic. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So, I get it. Anybody else, or you want me to go right into Ben Griffin?
Fine. Okay. Kurt Kitayama, 24th in strokes gained tee to green and 65th in scoring average, which if you think about that doesn't sound great. That guy was injured for a little bit, and he had like an 83 that really adjusted and broke the bank there. I'm not even taking that into consideration. He's been one of the most consistent kind of just like accuracy players in our game, really quiet, really slept on, really good iron play, kind of like an EVR, except EVR for whatever reason can randomly turn on the putter, just like it's a switch, and he just kind of, it's like one of those night lights you gotta really work hard to click. You're like waving your hand. You know those like those walk-in lights. You're like, that's what EVR putting's like. So if he had that, he'd be higher priced. I love Chan Kim this week. He's been dominating. His last 3 starts were 29, 10, and 12. 10 of his last 12 rounds were in the 60s. He's 42nd in strokes gained total, 50th off the tee, 20th in approach, 36 in driving, 19 in green and regulation, 13 in procs, 9th in scrambling, 3rd in birdie average, 6th in scoring. That guy's 7,600 in a weak field. He's going to crush it. Mac Meester, he has, in his last 3 starts, 4, 16, and 20. 11 of his last 12 rounds were in the 60s. 32nd in strokes gained total, 21st in scoring average, 3rd in driving accuracy, which I know is big on the model. So he's going to be really good too.
Yeah, I'm all over Meisner. I have some other nuts on him, so I'll talk on him in a second. Ben Griffin, interesting play this week. Again, he's short game maestro, so I think around the green play, putting could be very important for him. He's not very long, but again, that doesn't really change much here. So I think he could be a very, very good play. Michael Thorbjornsen seems a little mispriced, or maybe it's less of him being mispriced and more of Clanton being mispriced. He has not been off to quite the same fiery start as Clanton, but they're basically similar outside of 2 bad putting weeks for Michael. I like him this week at the cheap price of 7,700 compared to Clanton's like 9K. I'm just saying, if you like both and you want to save the $1,400, I think Thorbjornsen could be a slightly lower upside, but similar kind of play. Harry Hall, since you just talked about the ISCO, he did finish first last week at the ISCO Championship. He gained nearly 6 strokes on approach there. He gained nearly 5 strokes around the green. He's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour year in, year out. Call it top 15 if you want to get really feisty with me, all right? I know. And he's been steadily improving for 4 weeks. I think that's going to kind of continue to carry him on this week. Do I think he's winning? Probably not. Do I think he has the opportunity to finish top 30, top 40? Yes. And that's really all you need from somebody like Harry Hall. You talked about Mac Meisner steadily turning in the right direction. Again, you talked about his finishes. During those 3 starts where he's been top 20 each time, he's gained on all statistical strokes gained categories. He also missed 4 of his first 5 cuts to start the year. So when you look at his numbers, they actually look a lot worse than they are. I think he shows him 10 for 18, but really he'd be more like 10 for 13 if you just take out those first 5 weeks, or 9 for 13 if you take out those first 5 weeks, which looks much different. Rico Hoye, he's one of the best drivers of the golf ball. He has T38 finishes in his last 4 starts. His other finish was T26. Those finishes were all in relatively weak fields, but also like this is kind of a weak field. So like if the shoe fits, wear it kind of a deal. So that's fun. I'll talk about Thurston Lawrence. You probably recognize it because he finished 4th last week. Realize that he's not like new to the game. Like he's been on the Euro Tour for a couple of years. He's, having a fun time. He did have flight problems going to Minnesota, so he's currently listed in the field. Be advised, he's part of that crew with like the Gala, that's gonna have a tough time getting there. He's also super inconsistent, even on the Euro Tour. This guy can miss a cut and then finish top 10, like week in and week out. It's so inconsistent. So I know the name will be tempting because he did well last week. Don't go back to him. And then last guy, sorry, Neil Shipley. Who, again, for whatever reason, even though he was super expensive 3 weeks ago and is now priced like a bum, all he did during that time was finish T6 at the ISCO Championship and T40 at the Barracuda, where the only thing he's done in those 2 weeks is lost strokes with the putter and gained on everything else. So I'm bullish on Neil again if they want to price him at $7,300 every week. So I know I gave a ton of names, so you don't have to worry about it. We'll just skip right into the 6K range because I know I used a lot of words there. All right. Martin Laird. Oh, God, he's in this field? Jesus. Martin Laird, 6,900, all the way down to, God, is that Nick Watney? Nick Watney at 6,000.
I will not endorse any single golfer in this entire range.
Okay.
That's ready for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I have like 1.5 that I can potentially endorse. And again, I don't love it, but this is the kind of setup we're at this point. First guy I'll talk about is Ben Coles. Ben Coles is one of the best players in the field when it comes to driving accuracy. His biggest challenge is driving distance, where I think in this field he's like 130th out of 156 guys. Again, don't need it this week. He's also got really good form right now. He's made 7 of his last 8 cuts. It's not a fancy play by any means. I'm not telling you Ben Coles is winning, but I would love nothing more than having, Finau and somebody else up in the top 5 range and then throwing Ben Coles at the bottom and seeing him make a cut and finish T55. Perfect. That's all I need out of him this week. The other guy I'll mention, I can't say his name properly. He's from South Korea. He's SY No.
Oh, so you'll know?
Yes, thank you. His name is very hard for me to pronounce, and I wasn't on the Asian tour like you. As far as watching it, I'm sure I would know how to do it. He has had 2 straight top 25 finishes. His iron play has been great. He's had 7 of his last 8 rounds in the 60s, which is going to be needed here. He is much more of a streaky play. He is the more of a half a golfer I'm intrigued by. I would prefer Ben Coles, but if you're stuck and don't want to go with Coles, I think he is a good option.
Go to Macy's.
Yeah, I would say go KH Lee because it's a TPC course at Twin Cities, but the guy has missed 6 of his last 7 cuts, and so we're not going that route.
I don't think you got my joke, but that's okay.
Go to Macy's?
You said go to Coles.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Wow. Yeah, that did go right over my
It's
head. I
been a
was like,
long day, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. Early calls this morning. Monday calls. Got the hangover still from the bachelor party. It happens. So, all right. With that, let's get into DraftKings lineups. What are we looking at for you, Jack?
Akshay Bhatia, 9,800. I did bite it on Luke Clanton at 93. I'm willing to take that gamble. And then I went Lee Hodges at 8,200, Kurt Kitayama 7,800, Chan Kim 7,200, and SH Kim 7,200.
There we go. Jack went the route of I'm gonna be safe as all hell, and
I'll just wait till my FanDuel.
I get it. So no, for my DraftKings lineup, Tony Finau 10,500, Akshay Bhatia 9,800, Ben Griffin 7,900, Mac Meisner 7,600, Neil Shipley 7,300, and Ben Coles at 6,800.
You guys want to see the safest FanDuel in DFS history?
It really
Akshay
is.
Bhatia 11,700, Sam Stevens 10,000, Kurt Kitayama 9,900, Chan Kim 9,700, Mac Meester 9,600, and Lee Hodges 9K. All six guys I feel confident about in some regard, and I was not willing to take a gamble.
Yeah, I kind of took a gamble on FanDuel. I had Tony Finau at 12,000, Akshay Bhatia 11,700, Eric Van Reen 10,700, Mac Meisner 9,600, SY No at 8,000, or as you like to say,
Sung-Yul No.
Thank you. And then Ben Coles at 8,000.
Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming off a 24.98 per unit performance, words are hard, at the Open, I have 8 bets at this week's 3M Open. Tony Finau, top 30 is minus 200. That's probably going to get inflated probably by early tomorrow, so hopefully you're listening right now. Akshay Bhatia, top 40 is minus 170. Lee Hodges, top 51 and ties is minus 120. Chan Kim, top 51 and ties is minus 120. Funny enough, Mac Meester, top 51 and ties is minus 120. Kurt Kitayama, top 49 and ties is minus 120. Sam Stevens, top 52 in ties is minus 120. And Akshay Bhatia over Garrett Higo is minus 200. And if you want to know why I chose that picks, go to Turn Dog Golf Pod on TikTok, where I break down everything.
There you go. For my bets this week, I'm doing 6. Again, I'm just hanging out at 8 units. I'll be above 10, so we'll see if we can get there this week. Starting off, Tony Finau over Sam Burns is minus 140. I have Raul Pereira as the top Mexican at plus 200. He's got to beat Santiago de la Fuente, who has finished in the bottom 10 of all tournaments outside of the Mexico Open at Vedanta. So Raul Pereira has to
That's
finish.
all he has to beat?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Based on the data of the book I was in, that was all that was listed. Those two names, Santiago de la Fuente and Raul Pereira. So Raul Pereira's got to beat him, and he's got plus 200 odds. And if it's not the case, then let me know, because I'm going to go in and like void out that bet before it starts.
Just Mexico?
Correct. Top Mexican. My third bet is going to be Akshay Bhatia over Garrett Higo at minus 200. Fourth bet is Akshay Bhatia over Sahith Thagala at minus 110. I have Tony Finau round 1 top 20 at plus 187. And I have Eric Van Reen to make the cut at minus 200.
That is the only 2 names.
Yeah, there you go. So he's got to beat Santiago de la Fuente, who has not finished better than the bottom 10 in any tournament outside of Mexico. I know. Well, that's on the PGA Tour. I can't speak on Latin American tours or any of the other tours he's on, but I just did that on
Latino PGA. America's tour.
Get
Get with it, bro.
I know.
Anyway,
I know.
my wild card this week, SH Kim top 30, and that's plus 250. I didn't touch on him that much, and the reason I didn't really want to highlight him is because he's been very consistent in shooting in the 60s. The problem is he just keeps playing these Barracuda, ISCO, John Deere, RBC Canadian, Charles Schwab, CJ Cup that are going to 32 under and have Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, all these events, or, like John Deere Classic. My God, people were running away with that. We had 59 from Cam Young. Like, he's been consistent right around the 67, 68. If he could do that for 4 rounds, that right there, what is that, 16 under? That's contention. And at plus 250, I'm taking that odds on a guy that's been fairly consistent. I wasn't confident enough to go top 40 with a full bet just because he's been proven to have kind of the 72 rounds, but nothing super blow uppy.
Yeah, no, that's fair. SH Kim, I think, could be dangerous this week, and I respect that as a wild card pick. I went a little more fun. I have Michael Thorbjornsen, Mac Neesner, and Andrew Novak. Top 40 parlay is plus 915. So I like all three of those guys. I didn't touch much on Novak, but he's very consistent. He's probably the true wild card of those groups because I think Neesner and Thorbjornsen could easily finish top 40.
Done.
Here we go. Winners. What you got for winners this week?
Akshay Bhatia, man. I haven't seen it from Tony Finau yet this year to have 100% confident going back to him. And outside of that performance at the Open, which is nothing like Twin Cities, Akshay Bhatia has looked spectacular. And I think that with scoring percentages and the markers that he brings in terms of strokes gained total, tee to green, putting around the green, whatever the case might be, I think he's going to be in contention come Sunday, and I'm really banking on that. And then I am taking Sam Stevens. I know what you touched on with those over 7,400-yard courses. He's 10th in pretty much, or top 20 in pretty much every scoring marker in the field. So I just really like both of those plays here, but not as confident as I have been on like Xander Schauffele last week. Unless it hits, then I was super confident.
Yeah, I'm in kind of a tough spot. I like Finau. I like Akshay. I've already used both of them. So based on my ruling is I can't go back to a golfer I've already picked as a winner, which hinders me quite a bit. So I am kind of digging down the board to guys I'm a little bit more middle of the road on that I think could pop off this week. So I'm doing Ben Griffin and Eric Van Rooyen as my two winners picks. I think they both have the upside, kind of for opposite reasons to do well. I think if Ben Griffin has potential with the driver to find itself, he could do well, and then Eric Van Rooyen with the putter, same concept. So it works.
That works.
All right.
Kind of excited for the 3M Open.
Yeah, part of me says like don't spend all your money this week and save it up for the Olympics for next week.
But don't do that.
But don't do that either because the Olympics aren't really set up for good betting either. So I guess.
Wonder if there is like a USA winner prop.
I am curious on that too because I
keep talking to give your spiel while I look.
Yeah, I think that a USA winners prop would actually be an extremely good bet if you want to bet on the Olympics.
All it is outrights right now. Scotty 4-1 in the lead.
Oh, Jesus. So I'll say this. Jack and I should be having a betting podcast on the Olympics, assuming they actually drop legitimate bets.
They're just going to be so skewed. Like it's going to be Scotty Scheffler top 5 is going to be minus 300. Like that's what we're looking at, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I wouldn't rely on that to be like a big pocketing week as far as winnings. I think at that point you're just kind of bankrolling and turning $10 into 12, turning $100 into 110 kind of a deal, depending on how you bet. So keep that in mind. And then with that, again, 2024 Olympics, Wyndham Championship, and then we go into like St. Jude, right?
Yes, sir. Then we're in FedEx Cup, and then no.
Right, Olympics, Wyndham, St. Jude, BMW, PGA.
When's President's Cup?
Isn't that after Tour Championship?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, then
Bet USA, we're winning. That's all I know.
All right, with that, be wise. Maybe bet more this week. Maybe bankroll for a couple of weeks to save up for the
half units this week, boys and girls.
Yeah, probably half units, and then save up for once the Tour Championship comes around, and then we're going crazy and we're winning a ton of money again. So, with that, we will leave you to it. Safe betting, happy betting. We'll see you next week.
Deuces.